You may recall that in the introduction of economics, I told you that there are two mechanisms that can be used for allocation of resources. One is via market, that market forces can be used, and another was via state, that is the command economy, where state will decide. Now, market has two sides. One we call demand, and another we call supply. And this mechanism is used for allocation of resources in the economy. And when the allocation takes place, then price and the quantity demanded and supply are determined. And how much will be supplied and how much will be demanded and supplied. So what I am going to do today, that I will take you through the demand, the concept of demand and the factors behind the demand. And then in the next lecture, I will discuss about the supply side. When we have discussed these things together, then we will bring together these demand and supply to understand the concept of equilibrium. When demand is more than supply or other way around, what will happen and what are the forces that come into play so that the deviations are corrected. And so let us try to understand the I have already explained this thing. You know that there is a famous quotation by Thomas Carlyle, who said that if you teach a parrot the term supply and demand, you have got an economist. And the idea is that in order to understand any phenomena of price and all, we should understand the basic framework of supply and demand, because this is the fundamental, this is the bedrock of understanding various economic phenomena. That is why this framework is widely used to understand. Now, as I told you that the market is a mechanism by which the allocation takes place, and behind market are demand and supply. I'll come to the specifics of demand later. Let me just tell you that whenever we think of a market, we may consider as a physical place, but this is a very limited definition, that where buyers and sellers meet, the Dodhpur market, Samchad market, and other places. The market has got not only limited to physical space, but it is any arrangement that brings buyers and sellers together. Maybe electronic arrangement, there is no physical space. So it may be the case that buyers and sellers, they are interact with each other and they have never met. Face-to-face interaction is not there. So we have various examples where buyers and sellers never meet, but they transact. So in earlier time, the market was synonymous with the bazaar, that is the market where the buyers and sellers met. So the current in the modern world, it is any arrangement. We have various examples, like foreign exchange market, buyer seller never meet, but it is through electronic devices they come in. But our focus is not on the financial securities and other market. Our focus here is on the goods market, where the goods and bought and sold. And naturally, when market operates, there are certain rules of the game to operate in the market. rules may be specified when you are like maybe some regulatory authority may be there, some other may be there, but it is any arrangement. And this institution of market, has been in existence since time immemorial. It is not an invention of modern time. You know, the if you trace back, you will find that this has been there. So market, when the buyers and seller meet through any arrangement, then this brings into what we call the competition as well. The when people interact, for example, when there is a demand for certain product, producer may allocate the resources towards production of a particular kind of products and services that are demanded. Similarly, if there is less demand for that product, they may shift to others. So that is why market and competition are synonymous, that it is expected that when market operates, competition will also prevail. That is why one of the background conditions for operation of a free market, which is not controlled by a big corporation, is that there are a large number of perfect competition types. In third unit, we will discuss this thing. No buyer and seller can influence the price. But if there are certain big players, they can influence it, then market may not operate to its level, which we call efficient level. So that is why there are regulation also, where the government tries to regulate the rules of the game, how you play in the market. Like the Competition Act is there, in US antitrust law is there, and so on and so forth. So government also tries to, but as I said, that market is the most important mechanism by which the resources of the modern economy get allocated. And behind market, there are two forces, demand and supply. So let us get going and try to understand. I will come back to this point later. Now, before that, demand, these are the, okay, just you can have an overview of this thing. These are the factors which affect the demand. Now, before I take up these factors, let us try to understand what is demand. Demand, willingness, is made up of two things, plus ability to pay. And we can call anything demand when a person is willing, plus he or she has got the ability to pay. He has got the money to pay, purchasing power. If any of these conditions is absent, then we cannot call it. There may be certain people who may have the willingness, but they may not have money. So we cannot call it. If you conduct a survey and ask people that you would like to purchase, probably people they may show their intention, but they may not have the money. Poor people may have, they would like to buy something, but they may not have the money. So that is why they will be left out of the market. So those who have got the money, wherewithal, the resources, and in some cases, people may have the ability to pay. They may have money, purchasing power, but they may not be willing to buy. In certain products, people may not buy. Maybe because of religion, maybe some certain products are considered not permitted in the religion, or because of certain other factors, they may not buy. Those let us say social they may buy only eco-friendly products for that matter. So that is why the demand to any phenomena to be described as demand, it should be backed by not only willingness but ability to pay. Otherwise, the wishes were harsh, then beggars must strike. So naturally, so this is the definition of demand which we come across, which we take note of. Now, what are the factors behind demand? That economists have pointed out that there are several factors which affect the demand. The first is price of the good itself, income of the consumer, price of related goods. There are certain products which are either substitute or complementary products. Substitute product you can use in place of other, and there are certain products which are used in combination. Taste and preferences, expectation about the future, price and income, and the number of buyers which are there, and other influences like certain climatic, weather, and other influences may also affect demand. Now let us elaborate this demand aspect further.
Just a question. So can quality be a part of factor of demand as well? Can we consider the quality of a demand?
That quality economists do not take into account as such differently. That the special influences they can club it together in certain, preferences. Taste and preferences is a generic term which include, for example, if given the price, two products are there, so the consumer may prefer because maybe certain features are there, certain other things are okay. So they do not take it as differently quality, okay, as a factor, but they may be considered some other other influences like that. So marketing, that in marketing, when you discuss different P's of marketing, the price is considered to be the most important factor. Taste and preferences include that. Just wait, I will elaborate upon these things, and then you can. Now, behind this demand, what is demand? As I have already told you, that it is willingness plus ability to pay. So economists define demand as quantity demanded as amount of a good that the buyers are willing and able to purchase. This has been explained. And then when they define demand, they define it at a specified period of time, that they demand this product in 2020 or something, 2020. Imran, what is the issue with you? Like, the weather, you are also trying to come out like, sun. Huh? So the specified price, the period is also specified. Otherwise, it is not open-ended. That demand is defined. The demand for a particular product at a specified time. Otherwise, it will not. Now, when we are discussing the demand, then like these factors which are here, price and so on and so forth, then we also assume certain things. For example, if we take the first factor, demand, which is also called law of demand, and how it influences, then it is said that other things held equal. It is in economics, it is called ceteris paribus. What are the other things? These are factors are there which are behind in demand, supply, consumer income, and so on and so forth. So it is assumed that these factors is apart from this law of demand. These factors, the rest, do not change, held equal. Other things being equal. There is a relationship between price and quantity demanded. If price of any product increases, less of that product will be demanded. If price of any product decreases, then the more of that product will be demanded. So this is called law of demand. Now, why we hold these other factors constant? Because if we are varying simultaneously these factors, these variables, then we will not be able to understand the influence of price. Although there are tools available for understanding, like we may run a multiple regression using all the variables. But to start with, we do not do, we just look at these factors and try to understand. So this is called law of demand. When the price increases, less of a particular good is demanded, and when price decreases, more of a good is demanded. So that is why there is inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, and inversely related. You see that if one is increasing, other is decreasing. We are not saying anything about how much. This will come in elasticity of demand. We are just stating a general phenomena that the price, but there may be certain products. For example, the magnitude. For example, if price, I'm not saying this thing that price increasing by 10%, quantity demanded will also fall by 10%. This aspect, as I said, that will be taken in elasticity, where we'll discuss more than, less than that. It is a general thing which we are seeing. So this is called law of demand. Other thing, for example, if price of any product may have increased, but income may have also increased. So instead of price getting, the quantity demanded of any product, declining, it may remain same or may not be affected because of that. Or if the price of, if you are not holding this thing constant, it may happen that the price has been gone up, but the price of substitute product, which the consumer can use in place of other, may also have gone up. So they may not be, so the quantity demanded will not fall. Or other factor like taste may remain same. So that is why the quality and other aspect which somebody was asking, they may have developed preference, liking for certain products because of certain features of products. So that is why we hold these concepts, and in economics called ceteris paribus. And this can be depicted on a graph. Before that, let us understand a table. For example, this is the price of, let us say, certain cold drink or something, whatever you call it, bottle of anything. Yeah. The price is 2, 0 is demanded. If price goes down, 1 unit is demanded. If price is 1, 2, you see that if price is falling, more of goods is demanded. Okay, so this is increasing. But so this can also be displayed on a graph, because economists also use a graph. For example, the same relationship we can depict on a graph. On this axis, we have got the price, and this on this quantity demanded, QD. For example, we pick up the first point 2. Here, when price is 2, nothing will be demanded. This is the first point, okay? The other is price is the 1 unit is demanded. So in this way, I think all of you, how would you take the graph? We draw a line, and this line is downward sloping. So when the relationship between two variables are shown, and it is downward sloping, it shows that there is an inverse relationship. If one variable goes up, other will fall. Inversely related. If it has been like this, then it means that the price is going up and quantity demanded. So there is a direct relationship. More of quantity demanded, and more increase in price, more of quantity demanded. Now, this relationship, as I said, that when we translate it on a graph, so you will come across this graph. Also, we will use this graph. So the more of a good is demanded, and that is why the demand curve is downward sloping. Then, and this relationship is known as law of demand. Why, when price of any product increases or decreases, for example, when price of any product falls, why more of quantity demand is demanded? There are two effects which comes in operation. One we call income effect, and another we call it substitution effect. You know, now I would like to make a distinction between the word quantity demanded and change in demand. These two terminologies are different, but for some time I may use these interchangeably. You know that technically speaking, the word quantity demanded used by economists denotes when the demand for anything is affected by change in price. You know, and when economists use the word change in demand, when the quantity demanded is affected by change in variables other than price, like income and other. That is why quantity demanded is used specifically to the variation in price, whereas change in demand is used to express the change caused by other variables, like income and other. So why this happens? There are two effects. First effect is that income effect is there. Now, when price of anything falls, let us take a very simple example. Let us say price of milk is 50 rupees per liter. For simplicity, assume that a family was purchasing, let us say 2 liters. So the budget was, let us say 100 rupees was spent on this. Now, let us assume that the price has fallen to very simple, 25 rupees per liter. Now, you see that if the price has fallen, it means that the real income of the consumer has gone up. With the lesser amount, same amount can be purchased, or more of that item can be purchased with the given budget of 100 rupees. Now 4 liters can be purchased. So although the nominal income has not increased, but because of the fall in price, more of the additional purchases can be had. And that is why the demand of any product increases in response to the decline in price or when prices comes down. This is one effect which operates. Second is that when there are products which are substitutes, let us say X and Y, which can be used in place. If price of any product, let us say X, falls, and assuming that the price of the other product does not change, remains same. So what may happen, some of the consumers of this Y product can switch over to the product X. This is called substitution effect. So that is why the price, when price of any product decreases, more of a quantity, it is propelled by two effects. One is that the real income of the consumer has increased, so they will consume more of, not that exactly in the pro rata basis, but more of that may be consumed. Similarly, some consumers will switch from, the other products to the products for which the price have experienced a decline. And that is why the price and quantity demanded are inversely related. The other case may be that price, have gone up and quantity demanded will fall. So you can work out yourself. For example, if price of many products has increased, then the real income of the consumer will go down. So therefore, they may buy less of it. Similarly, the price of this product has gone up. So instead of Y, the consumer of Y switching to X, now the consumer of X will switch to Y, to other product. Right? So any effect which works in one way can also work in opposite way. So that is why there is a that those who have studied economics, at the undergraduate level in teaching of economics, things are made so complex, like this income effect. When a student do not understand the basics, Higgs substitution effect, this effect and that effect, and like that, which will outweigh which one. For example, I can also tell you that, for example, in inferior products, the substitution effect and the effect of if there is the people may not switch over, or the income effect, people may not consume more of that. So those things are there, but I am steering clear of those unnecessary complications. So that is why the price effect is made of two effects, and the income effect and fall in price leads to increase in real income, and more of that product may be consumed. And substitution effect is some of the consumers may lead to switch from the other products to the product which has become cheaper relatively. So this is the effect of price and income, quantity demanded. Now let us, all are explained in my slide. Now, the market is composed of several large number of buyers. So, for example, if buyer, let us say market has got X, Y, Z consumers, okay, and these consumers, they demand product quantity demanded at, let us say, at different prices, 10, 12, 13, 14, and quantity demanded by these consumers, assuming that there are only three buyers. If we sum up the demand of these, for example, 5, 4, 3, so 9, 12. So 12 units will be demanded at 10 rupee and so on. So individual demand for a product and market demand consists of the aggregation of demand of all individual consumers. So technically speaking, we say that it is horizontal sum of all the demand of the buyers in the market. But I think that even if you are not able to understand this distinction of, then it will hardly make any difference. That market demand is, comprises demand of all the consumers of that market. Now, law of demand we have discussed that the price and quantity demanded are inversely related. Then there is another effect which I said that we assume that other effects are constant. Now let us try to understand the other effect and how they cast an influence on demand. One factor is income of the consumer. For normal goods, if income goes up, then quantity demanded, then demand of a particular product increases. If income comes down, then quantity demanded of particular falls. So there is a direct relationship. The question is, what are the inferior goods and what are the normal goods? Now, normal, by and large, we find that the goods are normal, but there are, what happens that if the income of certain consumer increases, then instead of consuming more of that product, the consumer may switch to superior quality products. we expect that if income of a consumer has gone up, then one will consume. Maybe somebody is using lower quality of rice. So the price of that product, as income increases, they may go for better quality. At other level, what may happen that one may be using a bicycle, may switch over to the not inferior, but I'm talking about inferior in terms of relatively speaking. May two-wheeler, and after two-wheeler one may switch to one was taking bus ride, maybe car, and then maybe plane, something like that. Maybe one was having a rented apartment, may buy. There are so many things. Actually, this phenomena was like the low quality food grains. It was this phenomena was noticed when price of certain the income of the consumer have gone up. Then they were not in the Irish potato. Another thing, an example was given that Giffen paradox it was called there. So the income may go up, but people will replace it with this better quality product. So in that case, the consumer will not buy more of it. In India, what has happened that especially in food grain, as the income of the consumer have gone up, so they are replacing it better quality product. So that is why we cannot infer that if the income of the consumer have gone up, then the demand for a particular item will go up. One has to know what type of product it is. So this is the relationship normal, but as I said that generally the most of the products there are some exceptions to this. Otherwise, the relationship between income and quantity demanded holds by and large. Now this is how we explain it in graph. So the given certain level of income, this is demand curve. And when because of this, demand curve will always be downward sloping. Please keep in mind. And if income increases, then it will take a rightward shift. The increase in demand in more of that product will be, for example, will be demanded at certain price. Let us say more of it. And at this price more of. Earlier was this much, only this much was demanded. If you draw a line here, it will be given this way. So this increase, this is because of the increase in income. So this has increased demand, has increased, this change has come in. So if income falls, then it leads to a leftward shift in demand. For example, if we assume this much, this was the case earlier, D1 instead of D2, then what will happen that decrease in income will lead to. Earlier at this price, this much was demanded, 10. Now because income has fallen, and income has fallen, therefore less of that product will be demanded. Like that, so it will. So because of the change in income, the demand curve is either will take a rightward shift or leftward shift. Leftward shift means decrease on your left, and rightward means that increase. So because the demand curve, we have already given the quantity demanded, but the demanded will increase or decrease in response to change in income. Once I have gone through this thing, then I will make a distinction between quantity, the movement on a demand curve, and shift in demand curve. But I have just hinted here the things to come once we have gone. So I will just point out here that if price changes and quantity demand, then we move on this curve. And when the other factors than price changes, then we cause demand curve to shift either rightward or more of demanded rightward shift. But that I will discuss once I have gone through these things. So this is how the income and the consumer affect the demand. Then there are certain products which we call substitute related products. Related products are those products which can act as a substitute or they are used together. Let us say X and Y. Let us say cold drink, let us say, and let us say Coke. Let us say price of Coke increases. Then what will happen that because they act as a substitute, now some of the consumer, assuming that the price of buy Coke has not gone up, so now quantity demanded of Coke will increase because, so what happens that if the price of good increases, then the demand for a good decreases and the consumer may switch from one product to another product because there is the possibility that one can replace it with other products. But there are certain products which are used together, like consumer software and hardware, let us say assume. Typical example is pen and ink and this and that. Okay. So let us say consumer hardware and software. If price of any product increases, let us say hardware, and let us say that it is Y, then demand, the quantity demanded, let us say, of this will fall. So there is an inverse relationship because they are used together. So the price of a product affects the demand for its substitute. Now, for example, and it's a complement. So there are some products which are complementary. You cannot use alone. You cannot run hardware without software or software without hardware. So that is why it is affected by the change in price of one product and the other product. Now, the demand for the substitute product, as I said that a price of any product, consumer may switch to the demand to other product and the price of that product because there is a, if substitution is not possible, as we will see in elasticity of demand also, if there are no substitute available, even if price of a product increases, if the consumer may not switch to, or the possibility of switching may be less. Are they in short run they cannot, but in the long run they can do it. Like there are certain transportation which can act as a substitute. For instance, the AC first class fare and aeroplane ticket. And almost, in some cases, AC first class fare is higher than the plane ticket earlier. So that is why it may act as substitute. Why people will, even second class AC in some cases, people may switch over, substitute if price of the fare increases. There are so many things, it depends upon what acts as a substitute for that. But here, I'm pointing out that the price of a product is also affected by the price of related product. It may be either complementary product, which are consumed together. Alone, it will not suffice. Alone, it will not work. Or those products which can lead to substitution. One can replace if the price of the product has gone up. So this is how the price and quantity demanded are affected in case of these two products. Then there are other phenomena like expected future price and income. So let us take please keep in mind the word expected. Expected means that what we expect to prevail in future. For instance, today is, let us say, January 2022. What we expect price to prevail in future 2020 expected price, not the price today, 12th of January. The phenomena which was explaining the price which is prevailing today. What the consumer expect price to prevail after 1 month, 2 months, these are called expected, anticipated price. In some, what happens that if consumer expect price of any product to increase in future, not 1 month, but it's future. If I can use the word future. And future I am not defining 1 month by 1 month. Then they will demand more of that product. Because they think that if they do not buy now, when they purchase after, in future, they may end up paying. For instance, the price prevailing of product is 10 rupee now. They expect price to increase to 15 rupees after 1 month. So what the consumer can do that if expected price consume more of a product may be demanded. Because consumer think that if they buy in February, they will end up paying 15 rupees, isn't it? So that is why they may buy it now. And that is why when prices are expected to rise in future, especially essential items and other items, then consumers start hoarding it, buying it. And if they expect price to fall in future, they will demand that product. If they think that the price is 15 rupees now and it will fall in future to 10 rupees, why will they buy now? They will buy. So that is why expectations play a very important role in the prices. And especially the food items, they are affected by these expectations. And that is why even if there is no scarcity in the market, then government has to manage these expectations. I give you a real life example of the phenomena which operated. You know that in India is not sufficient edible oil, product. So when started the farm in 1991 and so on, so there was a scarcity of edible oil package and other availability, and at that time Dhara was the major brand available. So because there was huge demand for this thing then, and that we'll see in the supply side, this is the behavior of the buyers, consumers, that they will buy more of it. But what about the other side, the seller side? If sellers think that the price of anything will go up, they will hold, they will not sell in the market. They will just store it so that they can sell at higher price. So all the supply of edible oil went out of the market, and there was great scarcity. It was suggested by the economists that government should import edible oil so that the shortfall can be taken over. So then what happened that the government announced that they are going to allow import of edible oil. All the headlines came in newspapers every day. Government decides to import edible oil. So all those hoarded, the supply were back in the market, because the supplier thought that if they keep it, they will end up selling at a lower price, because then the domestic supply will be augmented by the import, they will end up paying at lower price. That is why expectations play a very important role in the formation of the prices. And that is why the expectation has to be managed. Let me tell you that if prices start rising of anything, then people start thinking that it will go up and up. The price of any people start buying it because they think that it will go up further. Unless, so this is how the price is affected. Income also affected in this way, but that I will take up in my next class.